Welcome to the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks. We're Jim and Joe, lifelong friends, lifelong fans, bringing you fan-driven sports talk the way real fans do. No overpaid experts, no scripted analysis, just honest takes on the games, players, and the big stories shaping sports right now.
Thank you, Joe. And we want you to be a part of it, folks. Drop your comments, questions, and takes. We'll read them all and feature them in future shows. And hit like, subscribe, and join the conversation every week on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen, Instagram, TikTok. Hey, Joe, what's going on?
Hey, listen, we're on so many things now that it's hard to it's hard to get through them all without a little bit of grammatical challenges. I mean, that's not our fault, People are demanding us to be on this platform or that platform. We're just trying to, hey, we're here for the fans.
I think it's just the excitement of today's show. I'm overcome. I mean,
Yep.
come on now. We're going to have to talk about what everybody else in the country is talking about right there.
We better.
USA, USA, USA.
We better
Give
talk
me,
about it. I
give me a
mean,
Marines call.
hoorah!
There you go.
Love it.
How can you sum it up any better than that?
You can't sum up the grit, the determination, the perseverance, the little bit of luck that it takes to get something like that done. I don't know if I have like allergies or I'm still choked up from not only the game but the post game, you know, just the comments from Jack Hughes and company. If you have any pride in being an American and you were part of this, watching it, celebrating, watching the players and the aftermath. I don't know if you don't have chills that last couple of days because I do.
I had to wear this. I'm a little bit visual oriented, I guess, today. But
Hey,
as soon as the game winning goal was scored by Jack Hughes, it was like I'm putting Freebird on.
I don't blame you. I think I heard that in the locker room. So hey, good choice.
Yeah,
Love it.
I had so much fun watching that. Rosa and I jumped off the couch. I kept saying, I don't think we're going to win. They're out skating us. They're better than us. We're going to find something's going to happen and they're going to slip one through. I mean, they scored, what, two goals in the last couple minutes to get to the gold final. And something's going to happen. And all of a sudden, nope, we did it.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Well, they did get a couple goals past us, but one deflected off of Hellebuck's stick as it was past him. Another one, I don't remember the player, but someone had to stand in, the net to stop a puck from going in that was bumbling and tumbling in the air past Hellebuck. Listen, obviously we don't need to say anything less than spectacular game for him. It was crazy, but
And it was Jack Hughes that poked the puck a little bit farther down, and then he
100%.
decided to go around the outside. But the pass to him, like you just said before the show, it was just everything just worked out. It was like magic.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you, and I'm sure people have. We could spend hours just on a couple of plays like that. The fact that the overtime rules in the Olympics go 3-on-3 doesn't favor us. Uh,
No,
I know the commentators with 4 or 5 minutes to go were saying, "Hey, let's just get to overtime." Well, yeah, because you only get a couple of shots off, in a 4-minute power play, and it was only 3 minutes until Jack Hughes, by the way, who gets a high sticking call to eliminate the final minute of our power play and then put them on even, and then they have a 1 minute power play. I mean, Jack Hughes, could have been. I mean, penalties happen, but he could have been the goat
in
if
the
they would have
old
scored on that
phrase,
power. The old goat, right? Not the new goat. The yeah, back in our days, you were the goat if you screwed it up. Yeah,
yeah. And
and, and,
nowadays,
and
he's the
nowadays,
goat. He
you want to
scored
be
the
the goat. He did end up being the goat, but not that goat. Yeah, I mean, listen. Whenever I see like a goat or a sheep, and I think of that during a play, then that play was bad. So we had to avoid that. And when I
oh
see a baby goat or a baby sheep, I say, Ew, with an EWE. Well, anyways, well, you know what I'm saying. The point is, yeah, he was the goat, all right. But no, that whole last segment of the game, how we could have lost, and I would not use the word should have because it wasn't luck. It was great plays at specific times, but we could have lost 4-1.
Yeah,
I mean, we could have lost 4-1. And
yeah.
I don't think if you're a Canadian, you're saying, we could have lost 4-1 because I don't think that was the case. We won that with just sheer determination and will. And Jack Hughes kind of alluded to that afterwards. Hey, we won it with grit and determination. And they don't need to say they were outskilled or out talented because that's questionable. But Canada had the better offensive team for sure.
That's why they play the game.
That's why they
Absolutely
play
love
the
it,
game.
man.
I mean, and then that's just the game itself. Just the whole other, world of things surrounding this game. Where do you begin? Where do you begin the last time the U.S. won gold? Of course, everyone goes back to Miracle on Ice in 1980. And these guys, weren't even, born yet. And the last time it's legit stuff to bring up.
And it was 4 minutes and 7 seconds into overtime when we finally scored that goal. And I think I was just as elated that they did it as how quickly they did it. It
Yeah.
didn't take the full 10 minute. I think it's a 10-minute period or something like that, each overtime period. I'm not sure. We'll have to check on that one. But I liked Kenny Albert's call, you know. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States for the first time since the 1980 miracle. The United States takes the gold. And I know it's no one, I don't think anyone is ever going to give or top Al Michaels' call in 1980s Olympics when he just said, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. And that was all he said, but how iconic that was. But Kenny Albert did a really good job for the men's and the women's final.
Kenny
So,
Albert, I mean, best neck in the business. I mean, the guy's neck is, just like unbelievable. Like he does neck exercises because he has to, because he's watching. If you just listen to play-by-play hockey, it's like an amazing. These guys are jumping on and off the ice. It's not like football, baseball, or other sports where you got time to look at the who's in now for the shortstop. These guys are calling names. There's four different shifts going on for both teams, and they don't miss a beat. It's unbelievable. And of course, the call. Hey, what makes the call so great? The moment or the call? Well, I say it's a marriage. Can't have a great call without a great moment. And so, what you say in those moments definitely matters. So here's something that's very interesting. And I heard two people talking about this, and yeah, I was eavesdropping. I was listening to them talk. I think I was at the gym, but they're right next to me. I'm not like leaning over. And the guy's talking about how the Miracle on Ice, 1980, how we beat the hated Russians for the gold medal and all of that. And it occurred to me, how many people out there really know when we beat the Russians, that wasn't a gold medal game. That didn't
no,
U.S. gold. Back in those days, they played a round robin. Okay, they had all these teams play. The top four make the medal round. Then they play each other, and the winner of who has the most points, one for a tie, two for a win, zero for a loss, that's who gets the gold. That game against the Russians was not the final game. That game was against the Russians, which we won, giving us the lead going into playing Finland. If we would have lost to Finland in the next game, we would have not have won the gold medal because Russia ended up winning their final game and they would have had four, we would have had 3 points.
yep,
So the Miracle on Ice doesn't deserve anything to be taken away from it. It was a miracle we beat the Russians back then. Right now, you're watching NHL players run all over the ice, a couple college guys thrown in there and all that, but it's a professional game in the Olympics. Back then, it was a professional Russian team against our amateur college players.
yep,
Russians had won 4 straight gold medals. We were a ragtag bunch of college kids, not on an individual basis, but as a team. It was truly a miracle. But it's just kind of funny how I think there's a lot of people out there who think that was like the gold medal we beat the Russians for the gold medal. Like, no, no, we didn't.
No.
But we had to beat them to get to the gold medal. So for sure.
And I don't remember who did. I guess Al Michaels' neck got kind of thick too from calling the hockey and all the other sports that he does, like Kenny Albert. But I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, I was a statistician for at UCF one season, and being a statistician in basketball, college basketball, basketball period, is an extremely difficult, fast-paced sport. And these broadcasters, that's why I wanted to kind of bring them up really quickly, is because he did an awesome job. And then
100%.
you also, for the men's and women's, you also mentioned something about Mike Tirico. What a great job he did.
Yeah.
It was heartfelt what he said at the very end.
Yeah. Mike Tirico, of course, he went to Syracuse, number one broadcasting school in the country. Of course, he went there because he is the consummate professional. And, talk about, jack of all trades, master of them all.
Yeah.
I put him in I put him in a higher level than even Jim Nance. Not taking anything away from Jim Nance, and he's been a part of Americana. He's been in our ears since we were little kids. But Mike
Yep.
Tirico does more sports, different sports. He's on Thursday Night Football with Collinsworth. Then he's in a golf tournament. Then he's at the Olympics, and I mean the guy is never says we got to cut out all of our ums and fluff work. He doesn't need any editing. He just goes right into it, man. He is unbelievable. And if you have not watched his post game 1 minute wrap up, Google it and listen to it, man. It is unbelievable, tear jerking in a happy way.
Yeah, he was talking about your kids dream the dream because this will be you, 15 to 20 years from now, that kind of thing. Saw that.
Yep,
That was awesome. Yes, if
yep,
you guys get a chance to Google it, Google it.
yep,
It was amazing. And plus, wasn't he in Italy and then he flew to go call the Super Bowl with Collinsworth in San Francisco, and then
yeah.
he
Flew
flew
back.
back to Italy.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I mean, I'm sure he was flying coach in row 34, middle seat B, like me, having to pay for his, vodka tonic. But still, no, he's really great. He's easy to listen to, man. Just smooth
Yeah.
as silk. Um, the other things about the Miracle on Ice too. So we ended up winning the gold there, which is great. There are some pretty famous lines from Herb Brooks, who he was a Herb Brooks was. I mean, he was a maniac coach, man. I don't even think. I mean, people probably loved him. We're not talking Bobby Knight. I love you, but I hate you. He was just a whack job, really. I mean, but I guess that's who you needed in this scenario, right? But he
Mhm.
told the players they beat Russia, but now they got to play Finland. And he famously told his players before the Finnish game, "Hey, quote unquote, if you lose this game, you'll take it to your effing forward graves." Because he saw that. Hey, look, talk about a letdown game, right? I mean, so they took care of business against Finland, which really clinched the gold medal for them. But Herb Brooks was crazy, man. Did you know this? Jim, Herb Brooks was cut. The last player was cut from the 1960 Olympic team, Herb Brooks. And when he was watching it with his former teammates on grainy black and white TV, his father, who was in the room after the U.S. won, said to Herb Brooks, "Well, looks like the coach cut the right guy." Ooh, motivation? Ooh, that's a rough one. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, that's tough. No wonder he was such a bitter, mean guy.
Yeah, and then what's this about in the movie? He
Oh,
cut. He cut. Who did he cut in the movie?
well, he cut the last player before, like right before the Olympics started.
And
What
what
was
was
his
his
name?
name?
Hugo. No, not
Jack.
Hugo. Hugo.
And what was his name? Jack
Jack Hughes.
Hughes.
Um, Jack Hughes, and the camera zooms in on him putting a blue line through Jack Hughes' name. They had to cut one more player. Then the camera, this is in the movie. They go over to his locker, and it's Jack Hughes, and the tape on his locker. They pull that off and throw it on the ground. At the time, um, there was no Jack Hughes officially in the U.S. 1980 hockey team on the team. but for the movie, they wanted to kind of demonstrate how ruthless Herb Brooks was, and college kid from Harvard, fake name Jack Hughes. You can't make it up. Sports delivers again. 46 years later, the golden goal is scored by who?
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes. Unbel- that's unbelievable. You can't make it up. Nothing gets crazier than that.
And it's and what is crazy, almost as crazy as that, is both the games, men's and women's, went to overtime, right? And the final
Yes.
score was 2-1. Both
Well,
games, men's and women's.
that's pretty crazy when you really think about it. I
And
mean, never been done, by the way. Women's and men, of course, that's probably not a no-brainer. Really, I didn't know that, but Team USA won gold in both the men's and women's hockey. Never been done. Probably never will be done again. Not that either team couldn't, but to win it together is not easy.
right. And on the women's side, their run was so dominant. They went 7-0, and the entire hockey tournament, the games, they gave up 2 goals. That's it. And
That's
everybody's talking about Connor Hellenbuck, the amazing job he did as a
oh
goalie, but
yeah.
Erin Frankel, the women's goalie, was amazing. She actually was 5-0, and there was a couple of subs. I don't have the name here, but she that team had only given up 1 goal before that final game. Um, Again, she had a 980 save percentage,
Wow.
.980.
Yeah. Crazy. And big advantage to the U.S. because so many of their games were, I don't, blowouts in hockey at least,
Right,
that they were able to rest, you know, not only the goalie, but they were able to play, a lot deeper bench than
right.
certainly the U.S. was able to play. The U.S. men's was able to play. So yeah, kudos to the women. They shouldn't be overshadowed by by any means on what they did. They dominated. They might have dominated so much that it was almost like taken for granted. Before they even got to like the medal rounds or the last 3 games. Let's just say they might have just been like a yawn foregone conclusion. So maybe they played too good to get the accolades they should have.
Both Knight and Keller will not
Killer,
never
man.
have to buy a meal wherever they're from, probably anywhere.
Yeah.
And Megan Keller's goal in overtime, that's was so memorable. And Jack Hughes, I mean, we're going to be remembering this for a long time.
I know I will be for sure, and where were you kind of thing for sure.
Yeah.
And as far as Keller goes, let's face it, she made a lot of the the defensemen that were covering her, look like Helen Keller. Like where'd she go? I don't see her. I don't hear her. I mean, what she whew, she was that was I told somebody the other day. Maybe I don't know if I said this on our podcast, but after watching a couple of her goals, I get in the habit of saying, well, for a girl, for a woman, that was a really good, blah blah blah. You don't you don't need to do that, man. Her when you watch her play hockey and some of their goals, it was like any hockey player from anywhere. It was impressive as heck, man. So yeah, congratulations. I mean, let me it all comes down to you know how you play and all that, but it also comes down to the character. I want to say just a very quick thing. I'm not pointing out any particular other U.S. athlete, but I remember when the games first started, I saw a bunch of, and I could use some words, to describe these maybe ungrateful. Maybe it's just the culture of half pipe snowboarding. Maybe it's the smell of weed in the air when I go to Colorado. I don't know. But I watched some of their comments about, I'm not sure if I'm proud to be here as an American, you know, bashing on the country. Not all of them by any means, but many of them, and you watch that disgusting display of, forgetting where you come from and why you're there and what got you there and the country you're playing for versus the U.S. men's hockey team and many other athletes, but the U.S. men's hockey team, and watching them celebrate, listening to what they say, um, how they treat, the flag. Um, what a gulf, and I mean the Gulf of America. What a gap between that culture, those guys, and some of the people I disgustingly had to watch and listen to before the Olympics started. But hey, and I don't want it to go unmentioned either. I'm sorry, I'm hogging up the tee box here, but I don't want it to
No.
go unmentioned that what they did in bringing out Godrow's uniform, whoever's idea it was to go into the stands and get his two kids, Carter, um, Matthew, Noah, and Johnny, his daughter and his son, to put them to make sure they were in that picture. Um, I'm getting choked up now talking about it because they pan over to the father and mother. They pan over to Meredith, his wife. I mean, if you're not getting choked up watching that, then go get your heart checked because it was unbelievable.
And I totally agree with you, man. The few, the proud. You should be able to say how you feel about it. I'm glad you did because of what's being said by certain people. Don't pay them any, never mind from here on. The fact that they get any attention at all in some of our social media nowadays is what the real problem is that they're getting attention from people in social media that that's their take or that's their feel as far as politics and all that. Ah, just wipe it away. I don't
Yeah,
want to hear it. That's how I feel. And there's Jimmy's Famous Seafood that's going to be getting them all the free meals. They
yeah.
have promised free crab cakes for life for the men's
I
and women's Olympic ice hockey teams. And it's tagged with an American flag and the phrase Johnny Hockey Forever.
Good for them.
And it's of course in honor of Johnny and Matthew after the tragic
Yeah, if
loss.
people don't know what happened, they were home in New Jersey for a family time. You know,
A wedding the
a
next
wedding.
day.
A wedding. They were home for their family. Not, they decided to go on a bike ride, which they did a lot. And they're riding down the road, and my understanding of the story is somebody who had a little too much to drink passed another car and just basically killed them both. Right there, and obviously tragic. Um, in a world of tragic and making it worse, at um, at his funeral, that's when Meredith, his wife, announced she was pregnant with her third child.
Yeah.
Literally at the you know at his funeral. It's so. Anyways, Carter Michael was born 7 months after that. So that's just insane. Wow. But what a touching thing for the team to do.
There was
Just
a
really
sense
good.
of healing that
Oh,
brought out a big sense of healing for all of those families and their relatives and friends involved. It and then the rest of the country who have gotten to know the Goodrow story. Um, it was amazing. It's just all wrapped around every emotion you can think of, from
I know.
elation to trying to overcome to believing that things are going to get better, and it was pretty amazing.
It was awesome, and it's kind of funny because they all knelt down for the picture, and then they took one, and then you could see a couple other photographers come in, and like two or three of them like ran off, like skated off very quickly, and you could see people going, "Hold on, no, we got more pictures, and we got to take pictures with the coaching staff and all that." And I'm like, "Well, those guys are gone, whatever." And then they come right back with the kids. I mean, it was awesome. And and then, by the way, as the coaches, and the staff are all gathering around, they're all in their suits and all that. It looked great. I hear the commentator say something I had no idea was true, and he says, it's interesting, but the head coach, does not get a gold medal.
No, I did see that.
And I was like, so every player gets a gold medal, whether you played or not, and all that, which you should, no question about that. But the head coach does not get a gold medal. I mean, whose idea was that? That doesn't even make any sense.
We heard that too, and the only thing I could say to my wife is that maybe he doesn't get a gold medal during that post game ceremony, but hopefully he gets a gold medal when he comes home or something. But
Um,
and they My cousin Fred had a great idea. They should have a parade for them, for both teams, right down Pennsylvania Avenue. How
Yeah.
would
Oh,
that go in today's media? I
well, for
would love it.
51% of the country, give or take, it would go great. The fact that the president of the United States calls the locker room immediately after the victory to congratulate the guys. The fact that there are people out there, it's just again, it's a head scratcher to me, regardless of your politics, making that like a negative thing. Like how is that? What it was Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan.
Jimmy
How is it a
Carter, yeah.
bad thing the president of the United States calls the USA team to congratulate him? Are they pissed off that Cash Patel was in there at all, or that he was drinking a beer? Well, I saw the phone. I didn't know whose phone it was at first until the camera kind of panned around and it said KD, or no, excuse me, DT, and I'm like, who the heck has DT for Donald Trump on their phone and the hockey team? And then of course it pans back as Cash Patel. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, listen, for all the haters out there, just give it a break, just for like a day. I know many haters get up, they set their alarm to make sure they don't miss 1 minute of being a complete moron or jerk. But
Yeah.
just 24 hours. How about that?
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating.
And it's funny how I'm going to be candid for a moment. During the previous 4 years, we didn't really have a whole lot of that, but we didn't know who was running the White House, did we?
True.
So
No,
there we go. I
no.
digress.
Well, you know what? Hey, listen, my point is, if I were to tell you that the US, blank team just won the gold medal against, very, very high odds, and they're skating around the rink with a US flag and, celebrating, the whole country is celebrating. There's viral videos of them in Miami at midnight and the whole bar is singing the national anthem. And if I told you the president of the United States, using no names, called the US hockey team right after that great victory and was congratulating them, and you said, it's disgusting or it was controversial, or what the heck, what how is that is like that is mind-boggling to me. But and that's again, don't I'm not using any names because that should never be controversial. When a good thing happens, recognize it's a good thing. Period. But oh, I'll get off that right now. But yeah, that whole experience was incredible. I'm looking at my notes. There were so many. Poor Connor McDavid. I watched him lose to the Panthers, and now he loses again. The gold medal. He's a winner. He got silver medal. But Connor McDavid, I mean, arguably the next, Wayne Gretzky. You know what? People have said that, not me. Well, I'm not disagreeing with that, but
Yeah.
he can't just get over the hump. He can't. It's like great fill in the blank sports. Dan Marino, it's great players. They're recognized. Of course, they're awesome, but without the championships or the gold medals, there's something missing. And that poor guy is just it's unbelievable, man.
To
Edmonton
be
goes up like 2-0, lose in 6 games, Here they are playing the US, heavily favored, lose. Poor Connor McDavid, man. Maybe next year.
That motivates me to watch to see how the Oilers do in the second half of the NHL season.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
going to be interesting.
I doubt they're going to play the Panthers again. The Panthers better pick it up a notch.
Yeah,
Um, it
true.
is very interesting that, Kachuk brothers are out there. The Kachuk brothers are out there together. You've got the Hughes brothers out there together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then Connor Hellenbuck, he's the net minder, as they call it in Canada. Here we call them goalies. They're net minders in
I like it.
Canada.
You better
He's
mind
with
your net. You
he's
better you better mind your nets and cues.
or you're going to go pull weeds.
Woo.
Yeah. So
Again,
I love Connor Hellenbuck's hockey goalie mask,
loved it.
and he's got the bald eagle on one side, the bass on the other. Big big fan of bass fishing, and
Largemouth
then
bass, loved it.
state of Michigan on the back. And then we got a tidbit from Topcat that said the first goalie in history of hockey that actually started to put art on his mask was Jerry Cheevers of the
Hmm.
old Boston Bruins. And it started because he got hit in the mask by a puck and had to leave the ice for a little bit. And his head coach was kind of busting on him. And he drew a couple of stitches on his mask and he came out. And that's when they came to realize, oh, we could do something with this. And
Hey,
that's when it was born that they started doing the artwork on the helmets of the goalie masks. We could
that's
do a
pretty
whole
cool.
show on different goalie masks, I'm
Oh
sure.
man, yeah. You can like Google it and look at a bunch of different ones. Some of them are so elaborate, man. It's a crazy. Helen Bucks, I loved his mask and all that. And
Yeah.
that may have been the first person who started drawing on the mask, but that's not who made the hockey masks famous, because we all know that was Michael Myers.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yes,
Man,
or
I
was it
missed.
Jason? Maybe it was Jason from
Might have
Friday the
been.
13th. What was his last name?
Oh,
Jason from Friday the 13th. Maybe he's the one who made hockey masks famous. But either way, hey, can they play with like a Scream horror show mask? Can they just change the whole design as long as it's safe? I mean, that'd be pretty interesting. Hey,
kind
well, speaking
of
about
last.
Scream, hey,
Yep. Kind of the last thing that I wanted to bring up is there's been so many hilarious memes on social media. The fun part of social media where you
love
just
them.
enjoy the moment and live in the moment, you know? And it was a quip from Freddie. Uh he sent it to me and I couldn't stop laughing. It's a little dig at Canada. Your country is 90% frozen 3 quarters of the year, and you lose to a country that has alligators. Gotta
That's pretty
love it.
good. I do love it. That is awesome, man. Hey, talk about in closing out the Olympics, man. 12 gold medals. That's a record for the Winter Olympics.
Yes.
33 total medals.
Yep.
That's pretty good. I
Second
think
place.
in 2002, U.S. had 10 gold, so beat that by two. This caught my attention when I saw that. Obviously, the Summer Olympics, the U.S. wins more medals in. Um, the all-time record for most gold medals won at a single game, one Olympics, was in 1984 at the Los Angeles Games, and the U.S. all-time record for most gold medals was. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
83
Wow.
golds. Wow, that is crazy.
I guess
It's
there's quite a few more events. That's probably why,
well,
right?
more events and more. Obviously, we're really good at a lot of those. We have some great winter athletes in the U.S., but let's face it, compared to the rest of the world, that's what they do, and that's why the victory against Canada was even sweeter, because that's what they do. That is their sport. That's what they do. Hockey. We've got baseball, football, college baseball. I mean, NFL football. We've got the NBA. We've got college basketball. We've got a
So much.
gazillion sports. Golf. We're watching and playing and all that. They've got one thing, and we
Yep.
beat them at it. Sorry, Canada, and for all you Canadian fans out there, like and subscribe. We still love you. We really do.
Better luck next Olympics.
Better luck next Olympics, which I'm sure will happen. So that's it for this episode of the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks with Jim and Joe. Thanks for checking us out and hanging with us for some real fan driven sports talk.
And please don't forget your comments are always a part of the show, as you could see today. Thank you very much, everybody, for contributing. Drop them below. We'll bring them into future shows, we promise. And please subscribe and watch us for free on YouTube, Spotify, and check us out on TikTok and Instagram when you get a chance and don't have as much time. You have a good day, Mr. Joe. Go USA.
See you Friday, my friend. Take care, man. USA, USA, USA.